Starting out in Star Citizen can be hard, and in fact I even bought a new account just for this video. I was surprised at how difficult it was starting over. This video is going to be a general education about Star Citizen. After this you'll have the blueprints to do whatever you want in the verse. We're going to take it step by step, so let's get into it. Now first things first, you want to get the game. The game comes with a package, and my recommendation is the $45 one. However, if you want to get some sort of ship to go with this, you can, and there are other ship packages. Whatever you do go with, you are going to want a referral code. This is just a piece of code that you sign up with. It gives you a little bit of extra starting cash, which is going to be a big help once you get into the game. When you sign up for this, the username that you choose is going to be the username in-game. You can change this later on, but you only get one free change. Now, when you download the game, you'll have to make a bit of space for it. This is a large game, and the updates are considerable. I don't know what type of internet you have, so you may have to make some time for that to download. Once that's downloaded, we're gonna go into the main menu. Now, this is what our main menu looks like, but this is what it will look like after we create our character. Here you have options, which depending on your computer, you might want to look into for a second. Leave game settings alone, but for graphics, set them up for your computer. Depending on how you like your sound settings, audio's right here. Controls, you don't really need to mess with. Key bindings are a thing. You will want to come back here a couple of times just to make sure that you know what is going on. When you get into a spaceship, key bindings change. Being aware of what key bindings are is important. The only key binds that I've changed here are my cinematic camera controls, but that's not really that important right now. The last one is comms, VoIP, and head tracking. Make sure that your microphone is set to the correct one. This is your microphone for in-game proximity chat. If you don't have it set correctly, VoIP won't work. VoIP is proximity chat. In the main menu, you have two options: Persistent Universe and Arena Commander. Arena Commander is like a matchmaking thing. It's kind of like a whole other game in itself. You can go in there, you can do matchmaking with friends, you can do matchmaking with strangers, you can do FPS battles, or you can just free fly and get your space bearings. A very notable thing in Arena Commander is racing. Just know the racing community is there. If you are a racer, people take this very seriously, and there are some good tracks. On the right side, you'll have your friends list. It's very easy to look friends up, and you have your notifications at the bottom right. Now, it's important to mention that it's easier to create groups in the main menu. This notification bar right here will be your friend. So if you have a friend that you want to play with, you just right-click their name and invite them to party. Once you guys are in a party, or even if you're not in a party, you can still right-click their name and join friend. This is an amazing tool to have. Let's say you really want a PvP and you want to make sure that you're on a high population server. You can find one of your friends that's already in one and just join them. This won't put you in a party with them, but it'll make sure that you guys are on the same server. So let's get into the verse. When you click Persistent Universe, it'll take you to the character customization screen. You have two body types to choose from. And no, this is not permanent. You can come back here whenever you want. And in this character customization, you can do a lot of stuff. Moving the points on the face to change the face. Skin textures, eye colors, different hair, styling. You can put tattoos on your character. And there's a lot of tools here. You can undo your change. You can randomize a certain aspect of your character, or you can randomize the entire thing. You can also load your character and have many different characters saved. It's also important to note that within the community, there are people that are dedicated to making great characters. There's a website where you can download characters that other people have made. So if you want to look like John Wick, you can. Once you're done, you just click review and save, and then you're off into the next decision. Now, the next decision is if you want to play the tutorial or not. I initially tried to play the tutorial, and it was bugged. This video is for people that want to skip the tutorial, or they have a bugged tutorial and they're forced to learn in the frying pan. Don't worry, this is going to be simple. After this, our next decision is where to place our primary residence. This isn't permanent, it resets on patches, but this will be here for a while. For this tutorial, we're going to do New Babbage. I hope that you choose New Babbage with me, but I know some of you are watching this after the fact. I did the same. It would be very complex to give an in-depth video on all different cities, but I'm gonna try my best to give you general knowledge of everything. 99% of the time, you just want to choose best server. Play game and hit confirm. Now, this is not a regular MMO. Persistence means something. So the server is updating all of this information right now and placing your character where it's supposed to be. This main menu might take a second. You might be in queue for a little bit. Unless your queue is like 260 something, I really wouldn't mess with anything. Even then, it won't be that long. The main menu might take 30 seconds to a minute for most of you. Maybe longer depending on your computer. This main menu contains lore stuff, so you can read it if you want. And we're in. You will always start in the verse in a bed. It may not be this bed, it may be a bed on a ship or a station or another city, or even a med bed, but you can look around, look out the window. You can even see a get up button. All you have to do is press F for that. You can also press W and get up. We're gonna take the next couple of minutes very slowly. On the left side, you have your chat box. The entire server is in this chat box. If you press F12, it goes away. Press F12 to bring it back. Press enter to start typing. If you press enter and then move your cursor over to the box, you can do these drop downs and pick which channel you want to type in. An easier way to channel switch is just to press enter and then tab. I don't have any other channels to go in right now, so you can't see it. But once you're in a party or a ship, you will see this. After that, we're going to look at something you're going to use for the rest of the game forever. It's called your Mobi Glass. It's kind of like your phone for your wrist. Press F1 to bring it up. This is your home page. It has most of the module's information here. Notifications, information about your ship, information about your crime stats. You have your name and amount of money at the bottom left. Going from left to right, we have home and health. Health is pretty straightforward. You can see your radiation levels, drug levels, major and minor injuries. Everything about your character is showed here. Next, we have comms, and this is very important. Top left, you have channels. Right now, we're in the global chat. You also have friends and pending. This is where your friends will show up. To the right, you have members of the global chat. This is everybody in the chat room right now. You can scroll down and find somebody and invite them to a party or friend request. Make sure to click this connect to audio channel. Make sure that it's on. Maybe turn it off and on just to make sure that it is on. If you go to manage, you have some settings for the comm channel. You can change the color. By the way, this is the same global chat. Next up, we have contracts. We'll get to this more in just a second once we go out and start playing. Maps is more useful right now. And if you left click, you can move like this. And if you right click, you can rotate the map. If you zoom out, you'll start zooming out into the entire solar system, and you can even go to the other solar system. All you have to do is press 2 to go back where you were. You even have a search bar to the top left where you can search up locations in the universe. This will come in very handy once we're doing missions. Next up, we have journal. You can get updates from CIG from here. CIG is the maker of this game. Next up, we have assets. Assets show what you have in every planet. Then you have reputation. Reputation scales with missions. And next you have wallet. This is where you send players money. So if you have to trade with anybody, or if anybody wants to trade with you, this is where you do it. It's an instant transaction. Then we have landing, which is something that you do with a ship. And we have ships, which we can talk about later when we actually get to our ship. If you take a look around the room, you'll notice that there's some things that you can interact with. There's a shower here. And our next major element of the game, storage access. These little closets are littered throughout the verse, and they're all local. So this storage is for this city. If you go to a space station, that space station storage is for that space station. You can store items here and you can take items out of here. As you can see, I take off all of my armor. If you do take off all your armor, do not take off your wristwatch, the Mobi Glass. This is very hard to put back on, and it is your UI. This is probably the only game in the world where you can take off your UI. The hierarchy of armor is such that if you take off your undersuit, it takes off the helmet, it takes off the gun, it takes off the ammo. You just put your undersuit back on, your helmet, your gun, the ammo, and the med pen. The med pen and the ammo have their own slots. We don't have any more armor to put on, but we will later. To get out of this, you just press exit or you back up. There is another inventory view if you press I. We don't have a backpack right now, nor do we have armor, so there really isn't much of an inventory. However, you can take armor off from this view. You can take off your helmet, set it on the floor, and pick it back up. As you can see on the bottom right hand of the screen, you can equip it, you can store it. Right now you just want to equip. If you press Alt F, a wheel will come up. You can take off your helmet there, you can put it back on, you can emote, and there's a bunch of different options here that you can play around with. Anything you do here is going to be fine. You can play around with this wheel and explore it if you want. You're not going to mess up anything here. Whew. That's a lot of technical stuff, I know. However, we're about to play the game, so buckle up and let's do this. You can stay in your room and interact with things if you want, but I have a feeling we're all itching to get out into the verse. Head over to your door and press F to open the door. You can also hold F, move your cursor over to the button, and manually press it. New Babbage is snowy on the outside. and luxurious on the inside. Pro tip, you might want to copy and paste this message here in chat and see what happens. Don't do this all day, but I believe everyone is allowed one of these messages. Every apartment in-game has the same initial layout. A couple hallways, and then an elevator. Go over to the elevator and press F to call the elevator. Again, you can also hold F and press the button manually with the cursor. Once you get into the elevator, there is another terminal. You can scroll down and find a bunch of floors. Lobby is the bottom button. You just press that, the elevator will close, and then you go down, and now you're into the main lobby. If you're just walking around, you can actually scroll up to change your movement speed. You can also press shift to sprint, scroll down to walk. You can see that there's some storage units here, and if we go out into the main part here, to the right, there is a store. We're gonna purchase a few things here. Hopefully if you put in that referral code, you have 20,000 AOC. There's a couple things we need to purchase. The pyro multi-tool is one of them. Hold F to purchase these right off the counter. You're also gonna wanna purchase the pyro multi-tool attachment, the true hold attachment. If you come over here to the right, there is a terminal. There's a lot of things that you can buy. There's also subcategories and categories. For categories, choose armor. There should be only one option here. For you, I want you to buy the entire set here. It's all light armor, which is good for us. It's cheap and does the job. I also want you to buy this backpack here. If you're having trouble finding things, there's a search bar up here, which you can use. Now, we don't have to do this right now, but over here, I want to show you something. You can purchase food right off the counter. All you have to do is take off your helmet, press inventory, put it on the ground. You can tap F when you're looking at a drink or a piece of food. Once it's in your hand, you just hold left click and you start drinking it. You don't have to do that, but make sure that if you did, you put your helmet back on. All you have to do is just pick your helmet off the ground. I do recommend getting an SMG and then some added ammo for that. I got 3 here, but you could honestly get away with maybe 5 or 6. Now you'll notice that I have significantly more cash right now. I didn't plan this. This was not part of my plan in this video. Somebody sent me 110,000 AUEC just because of that message earlier. Now this might not happen to you, but this is a good showcase for how helpful people are in the verse. So we just bought a bunch of stuff. Where is it? Well, remember those storage units? Let's go back there. Let's find one. And now you can see that all of the armor is in our storage unit. The hierarchy of armor is such that you want to put your core armor above your undersuit. Then you want to put on your legs, your arms. You want to take off your helmet, put on the new helmet, put the backpack on. And then once the backpack is on, you could put that gun on. You want to put the pyro multi-tool on your waist and then put the attachment into your inventory. I know this sounds like a lot, but once you do this, you won't have to do this again for a long time. Trust me. Put the ammo for the SMG into the slots that are needed. Whew. All right, guys, we're doing great. I promise once we get past these small technical things, this game really opens up. We're gonna look at the map next. Now, we're gonna go over to the left and look at this map. Now, this map shows you where you are. You're in the upper level. There's a few stores here. On the lower level, there's the tram. Other levels are the apartments and the med bay. We're gonna go over to the med bay just to show you what it's like over here. In the med bay, you can do a patient check-in. If you're about to starve, if you're about to die of hunger, or if you have major injuries, you can check in here. They'll give you a room. You go over to the elevator, go up to that room, lie down there, and you can heal up. There are also terminals to imprint yourself on, but we'll get to that later. There's medical shops here, and there's also storage access. Again, there's storage access everywhere. Let's go back into the main part where we just were, the lobby of this whole facility. And let's go down into the metro loop. There are signs everywhere to tell you where you are. You'll see that there are 3 parts: Spaceport, Tobin Expo Center, and the Commons. The Commons are to the right, Spaceport is to the left. This is the tram system. Every major city has a tram system, and they all go in loops. So either way you go, this is all one big loop. Every tram system eventually goes to the same place. You want to take a left here and go to the Spaceport, but if you did take the right, you would go to the Spaceport. You just have to be aware of the stops. In my opinion, New Babbage has one of the best trams. Now that the tram is stopped, we're ready to go into the Spaceport. The Spaceport is always where your hangar is going to be. And again, there's information everywhere. You can find more information on this map, If you just take a second to look around, you can find the exit signs, go through customs, and here you're in another elevator room. There will be only one option. You just click on the NBIS terminal. Storage units everywhere, and then you go on to the Spaceport lobby. You just keep on following this path. You can look around if you want. This part is customs and information. There are terminals here. If you log in as user, you can pay your fines. Let's say if you do something wrong, you can always come back here and pay your fines, get your crime stat down. You just keep on following the path. It'll eventually lead into this big window right here where you can see the city from the other side. That tram that we took just went over a frozen lake. And here you can see an actual player coming in to land. Looks like they have the tutorial ship. Now over here to your left, you have store and rental. We're not gonna rent any ships right now because we already have one. So we're gonna go into the opposite side. It would be the right side. We were just on the left. Request our delivery for our Mustang Alpha. This is the $45 ship that you got. And look at this. Right here, a player came up to me and used VoIP to talk to me. He came up, sent a friend request, and you're gonna see that pop up on my screen.
Hey, brother.
Microtech is committed to helping the Empire solve the regen crisis. Are you?
I've played for 2 weeks, and I identify your gear as newbie gear. Let me help you.
He saw that I was in the beginner armor and wanted to help me. I accepted his friend request by clicking the left bracket. This wasn't planned. This was a completely random encounter. In fact, I had to tell him that I was actually making a video for beginners. He invited me to a party, and I accepted that too.
Yes!
For some reason, my VoIP wasn't working, so I had to go into options, into keybinds, and make sure that everything was correct. This guy was very nice. He sent me a Discord, and he wanted to help me out. He wanted to do missions with me. I highly recommend that you pay attention to chat, that you pay attention to people around you. Maybe you talk in VoIP if you want, and try to find somebody that you can do stuff with. I actually recommend that more than what I am about to show you. If you can find a friend that is starting out with you, that is more preferable than anything else. That is the golden ticket. You will learn so much more. Even though I had my key binding set correct, for some reason my VoIP still wasn't working. So I went into comms and I unchecked connect to audio channel and manage. That did the trick.
To gather and deliver the vital resources needed to address the issue. Only by working together can we find
Yes, you've done it. Put whatever you figured out in your video.
However, I had to tell this guy that I was about to do a mission by myself and that he was a very good citizen. Meet Marionette. If you find him in the verse, give him some cash, as I did, or say hello to him. He's a good guy. All right, guys, now's the time. The thing we've all been waiting for. Go over to the elevator nearby, and it's time to go down to our hangars. There will be an option for your hangar. And if you turn right into the hangar, there it is. These hangars have a lot of different things, including freight elevators, ASOP terminals, and storage units. All ships have something special about them. This ship has a little bit of cargo in the back. This isn't the same type of cargo that you'll see with other ships, but you could store a couple of things in here. You could store guns. You might be able to store some 1 SKU boxes in here as well. If you're hauling anything, this is probably not the ship that you want to go with. This is definitely more of a fighter that just happens to be able to carry some things. Now coming up on the left, you can enter the pilot seat. Once you approach the cockpit, a button will come up and you just press F to get in. Once you're in the cockpit, you can actually hold down F to look around. And in most of these ships, you can turn them on manually. Once you start hovering over things, things become pretty obvious. But I'm gonna show you the keybinds instead. Press U to turn the system on. This will give you 4 different screens. All you have to do is hold down F to switch between these screens. You have configuration, scanning, communications, you have power management, and on each 4 of these screens, you can set them to different things, or you can set them all to the same thing. You have the radar in the middle and some more information up top. Now, our thrusters aren't on yet, so you have to press I to put your thrusters on. So that's U to turn the systems on, and then I to turn your thrusters on. Once you turn the thrusters on, you can hit space, and now you're up in the air. Space and control are up and down. Space is up, control is down. Now, if you have one of your screens to communications, you'll see NBINT Spaceport. That's the new Babbage Spaceport. You can actually press that hail button, or you can press Alt-N. I highly recommend getting these keybinds down, as they're going to be useful later. Alt-N hails any hangar. Any hangar that you're close to, at least. So now that you've hailed the hangar, you might have a queue time, but for me, it was instant. So you just press W, and now you're out. You can move your mouse around to steer. Pressing A and D will move you left to right. Pressing W will move you forward. Pressing S will move you back. Q and E will allow you to do barrel rolls. I know that there's words for this, but I'm a dumb gamer, and I'm gonna give you dumb gamer words. Next, we have one of the most important flight mechanics, coupled and decoupled. The keybind is C. When you're coupled, your ship will automatically come to a stop without you touching anything. Like you can see here, the coupled light went off, which means that I'm decoupled. It took a while to slow down, and as soon as I turn that light back on, by pressing C, it comes to a stop by itself, and it will stay at a stop. This is really important in space. But if you're decoupled, if you press forward and you're in space, it will go on forever. There's no counter thrusters to stop it. If you're in atmosphere, you will probably eventually stop, but it'll be a lot slower. We'll get back to that once we're in space. Something to know is you can land here. You can basically land on anything in this game, with a couple exceptions. But if you press N, your landing gear comes down again. And all you have to do is press Control, and you're down on the ground, if you want. So let's switch to nav mode by holding B if you're in gun mode. Nav mode will allow us to go the fastest. It takes off our shields. Let's point up, take our landing gear in, hold W, and press and hold shift. You can see our booster is going down. You can see that it doesn't take much to get out into orbit. And you'll see this message, turn online. Now, if you're in nav mode, which you should be, by holding B, you can see that there's a lot of different points here now. These are all navigation points, or jump points. The triangles are outposts or points of interest on the planet. The octagonal is always the capital city of the planet. Circles with dots on them are the poles of the planet. You can see that one of them is red. That means that we can't jump to it right now because it would have to be a straight jump. If we did that, it'd be through the planet, so we can't do that right now. One of the main differences between navigation mode and gun mode is pretty much in the name. When you're in nav mode, you can see all these points, you can jump to them. But when you're in gun mode, those points go away. Your shields go up and your guns come out. You cannot shoot anything in nav mode, and you can't jump to anything in gun mode. So right now in nav mode, if you look at any of these triangles or the capital for long enough, it'll spool. This left bar will get ready and you can actually jump to that. Now, if you press F2 and zoom up on the map, you can see all of these points on the planet, and you can click any one of them. It gives you information about that point, and you can actually route to it. It'll tell you if there's vehicle services, commodity training, which is all really good information. You can see the spaceport, you can see the comm array, and you can see different things. So let's find out what happens if you jump to one of these points. Here we're looking at Port Tressler, which is the spaceport above our certain planet. If you wait for that bar to charge up and then just left click, boom, you're here. Now, this is a big thing when you're flying towards something in space. It's okay if your cursor is pointing at it, but you want to make sure that your navigation point, which is this other little point which shows the actual direction that you're going, is veered off away from it. You can see here that I'm actually pointing at the station, but I am going in a different direction. Here, we can actually just call another hangar with Alt-N. Now, you can do this if you want, but I want to show you another aspect of these spaceports. These spaceports have open paths. So if you're in for a quick trip like us right now, you actually don't even need to call a hangar. You can just go straight up to the pad and land. Now, there's about 4 pads around, and they're usually on the same arm of the space station. You just land. You can actually refuel here if you want. We're gonna get out and we're gonna go in and make sure that we look at what pad we're on. That's very important. Make sure you remember what pad you are on, or else you're gonna have to guess when you come back. We go up to the elevator and we go into the lobby. Now, space stations pretty much have the same thing that are in cities, but they're more condensed. You can probably explore on your own here, since I've given you the basics of what things are. If you just go down the hallway and take a left here, you'll see the medical clinic. We're gonna go over here, and this is very important. I really want you to do this. Go over here to one of these regeneration terminals and put your regeneration imprint onto this space station. You just click confirm, and now your imprint is on here. So if you die, you don't come back to the city that you were just on, you come back here. This space station has the ASAP terminals. You can claim your ship, but we don't need to, because we can just go back to the pad that we were on. Hopefully you remember which one it was. And our spaceship is right there, and what a beautiful view. I love using these pads way more than I like using the hangars. So the same thing applies. You get in, you press U to turn things on, you press I to turn the thrusters on, you press spacebar, and you're out into space. Make sure you're coupled around the space station. Here is the part of the video where you basically know how to move around, how to play the game, but what do you do? And that is a very big question to answer. Not because there's not enough to do, but because there's so much that you can do. But if you want to follow me, we're going to be doing something else. Now, in space, you can make sure that you're in coupled mode and press X to brake. Coupled will make sure that the spaceship stays put. And once you see that it's down to 0 and you know that you're in coupled mode, you can actually press Y and just get out and go for a spacewalk. Everybody wants to do this. And trust me, the magic of this never stops. Truly a magical moment in this game. When you're done, just approach the cockpit again and press F to get in. Now we're gonna go explore a little bit. So how do you explore? Press F2 and then look at one of the moons and go out there, click it and press route. Now all we have to do is follow the jump points that are set up for us. Sometimes these are hard to find on the screen, so you just kind of move around until you see that circle. Head to the circle, line up, wait for the bar to charge, and left click. Since we're going around a planet, we will have multiple jump points to go to. So once you get to the first one, look for the second one and jump there as well. If you've lost your routing course, just go to F2 and plot another route. Now we're at one of the moons. Look at one of the triangles on the moons and quantum jump there. Quantum jumping on moons and planets is different than in space. You have to go around the planet to get to your destination. But once we're here, we'll be about 20 to 30 kilometers away. We can just go straight down. When you're in nav mode, going straight down and pressing shift for boost, there's a problem. You'll come up on the ground way too fast, and you'll experience this a lot in this game. The way to slow down really fast if you're in a tight spot is to hold B, switch out of nav mode, which will instantly bring you down to almost half speed. Start pressing X for brakes, and if it really matters, you can press N to put out your landing gear. The landing gear and getting out of nav mode will slow you down a ton. Now you can explore this moon for however long you want. You can even press N for your landing gear to come down, slowly bring your ship down, and get out and walk if you want. If you go to any of the cities, be careful. Some of the turrets might notice you. They noticed me. But the thing that I really wanted to show you is the regeneration point. Once you're done with this, I want to show you how death in this game works. Pick any mountain, pick any hill, and go full bore into it. You'll die, and you will respawn back at your regeneration point, which if you were following along, is Port Tressler. So now we're back on that spaceport, and that is how death works. Once you set your regeneration point, you are at that station. You are at that city. If you didn't, you would go back to your home city and we'd have to do all of this over again. This is very important. If you are traveling to other planets or to other systems, make sure to set your regeneration point, to set your spawn point. This is super critical. If you're all the way over in Pyro and die and get sent back to your home city, that's gonna be a bad time. So what's next? Now you're in the medical room. Just like your bedroom, get out of bed and head out the door. This is the space station that you were just in. So you just head out of the medical facility and go to the ASAP terminals and claim your ship. Since this is a starter ship, the claim time will be about a minute long. It's important to note, bigger ships have bigger claim times. Thankfully, this one is instant if you pay the expedited fee. If you don't want to spend those credits, you can wait 40 seconds. Retrieve your ship and it will be down in your hangar. Next up, I'm going to show you how to do missions. And this will be the final part of the tutorial. Press F2, go to contracts, and on the left side you'll see a bunch of subsections. These are all your contracts. Today we want to go to Mercenary. For Mercenary, head down to Combat Gauntlet Scenario 1. This should be available to everybody. You want to go to Accepted and then hit track on that specific mission. Once you hit track, it'll show up on your map. Go to the mission, hit route, and it will show you where to go. Now all you have to do is go to the asteroid base. Line up and quantum travel there. Once we're here, all you have to do is follow the markers. Right now it says go to the asteroid mining base. We're gonna switch to gun mode by holding B. This is very important because we're about to hit some combat here. If I go to the right, you can see if you hold down left click, you will fire guns. If you're in navigation mode, you won't fire guns. And if you're in scan mode, which you do by pressing V, you also can't shoot your guns. So you have to be in gun mode. which puts your shields on. Start heading towards the asteroid base. You'll see that there's some targets out there. For me, soon, one came up that was all red. This was the guy that I had to take down. You can swipe through the targeting system by pressing T. This will target different ships out there. Once you find your target, you want to go up to them. Get in about under 2 kilometers. Now, this shouldn't be too hard. What you really want to do is you want to focus on making sure that that circle right there is green. You want to aim at the circle. You don't want to aim at the square box. Wherever that circle is where you want to aim. And you just want to keep the pressure on them. To demonstrate how easy this one should be, I completely stayed in one place. I never moved. All I did was move my mouse. Now, this is a beginner mission. Later on, this is not going to be a viable option. You will get absolutely nuked if you stay in one spot. There are a lot of asteroids. You do not want to slam into one. There will be 3 waves of these ships, so you just want to keep on putting pressure on, getting their shields down, and then hitting their ships. I'm gonna fast forward through mine, and you'll see that I completed the mission. I get the credits that were the reward for the mission, and if you go to the completed panel of the contracts, you'll see that I completed that. Now, there are a lot of different types of missions in this game. There are hauling missions, mercenary missions, missions that take place in space like we just did, missions that take you down to planets where you have to take out bad guys. There are also bounty hunter missions where you hunt players. And now there's Onyx missions. You know how to explore. You know how to travel to other planets. You know how to travel to the moons, and you know how to accept and complete missions. You also know how to fight in space. You know how to land on moons, get out, and do things. Once you can do this and you start to explore a little bit, you can also do these missions with people. And for some missions, you'll want other people. This game really opens up with other people. I cannot stress that enough. And if you like to explore, I would just explore for a while. There's nothing wrong with that. This game is huge, and I would highly recommend exploring as much as you can. The only other note that I have is that come next patch time, your primary residence will change. Maybe you want to set it in Pyro. Maybe you want to set it somewhere else. If you have any questions, let me know, and maybe I'll make another video addressing things that I've missed here. But for now, you're a part of the verse. Get into global chat and find a crew to join.